Please welcome your hosts, Mark Ormrod, and special guests Will Bayley, world #1 table tennis Paralympic champion, and Darren Harris, Paralympian coach and public speaker, to the stage.
Oh, thank
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us. My name is Mark Ormrod. I'm a former Royal Marines Commando, Invictus Games athlete, and a proud ambassador here at Motability Operations. And this morning I have two incredible individuals with me, two phenomenal athletes. They are both Paralympians and both just really, really cool people. And I'm excited to share a little bit of their story with you all this morning. Lads, thank you so much for giving up your time and coming all the way up here to sunny Birmingham to join me here at the NEC today. We are going to talk a little bit about your personal lives. We're going to talk a little bit about your professional lives and delve a little bit into the phenomenal success that you both had, considering all the challenges that you faced. Now, to introduce you both, we have some videos, and we're going to start by showing one of those, and I think we're going to start, Will, with yours first.
Perfect.
Hi, I'm Will Bayley. I'm a Paralympic table tennis player. My highest achievement is winning the gold medal in Rio 2016. Motability's changed my life massively. I've got a disability called Arthrogryposis, which is similar to a severe arthritis, and I always struggled when I was sort of 17, 18, 19, around that age, to be independent, and just it gave me that independence. It made me feel like I could do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, and that was massive. It gave me a lot of confidence.
Now, Will, we're going to talk a little bit about your sporting achievements later on, but before we do that, I want to hear a little bit about you. You know, who is Will? What was life like growing up, and how did it take you towards sport?
Yeah, well, I think my mic's working. I was born with well, just start as we're here in a Motability talk. I'll talk a little bit about. I was born with a condition called Arthrogryposis, which, as I said on the film, is like a severe arthritis. And I had lots of operations when I was growing up, and like a lot of people here probably. And I think that obviously changed my personality right from the start, you know, because I was going through a lot of the operations. And then also when I was 7 years old, I got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a type of blood cancer. So I think that again changed my personality massively and made me definitely the person that I am today, because you can't, it was really traumatic time for me. And I think after I recovered from that, I wanted to play sport. I mean, I wanted to do something special. I think just because I felt lucky to be alive, I think it changed. And I was like, I want to make the most out of this. Even though I was 8 years old, I kind of really knew that I was lucky, and I wanted to try and be the best I could be at something. And I started to play table tennis, a bit random, but I started playing table tennis in hospital. And I started beating my brother, who was 3 years older than me, and he was really good at all sports. And I kind of got a lot of confidence beating him. And then, I started playing for my county, and then, I've managed to play in four Paralympics, and my fifth's coming up, but we won't talk about table tennis too much. But that's a bit about me.
Okay, well, we're going to get into the table tennis. I've been told not to say ping pong.
No,
we're going to get into the table tennis stuff
table.
a little bit later.
Exactly.
But Darren, I want to move over to you quickly now. We have a video for you as well, and then we're going to talk a little bit about who is Darren.
Hi, my name's Darren Harris. My biggest achievement is going to the Paralympic Games, not once, but twice. One of the reasons why I wanted to join the Motability scheme was because I've had to rely on public transport all the time, and there are just some journeys which just don't work that well on public transport. Sometimes it's the day of the week that I'm travelling, so for example Sundays are never great. And sometimes I'm travelling early in the morning or late at night because of training, so it's those little journeys that will make a massive difference to me.
So I don't think anybody in this audience would disagree that going to the Paralympics just one time is a phenomenal achievement. But in that video, you said that you've been to the Paralympics twice.
Yeah, so I was lucky to go to the games twice with 2 different sports. So I'm probably, Will's the master and I'm the jack of all trades. That's how it is. I suppose for me, growing up, I was always very sporty. From the moment my mum could feel those kicks in the stomach, in the womb, I was destined to be an athlete. I was ready to come out, pop into this world and start running around like a maniac. But I was born with normal vision, and when I was 15 months old, I was diagnosed with cancer in both my eyes. And one eye was removed, the other was treated with radiotherapy. And that treatment destroyed my tear ducts. So as I got older, I was developing like severe scar tissue on that one remaining eye, and that sight just gradually got worse and worse and worse over the next couple of decades. And I suppose I found myself not being able to participate in sport the way I wanted to. So I was always playing football with my mates, but sometimes they wouldn't pass the ball to me because, I might miscontrol it. But now I look back on it and, we talk in sport about kind of playing up. So when you're playing with people with more ability than you or more sight than you, as it was in my case, actually it meant that I had to work so much harder to be as good as they were. And then when I was then around my own peers, I suddenly realised that I'm all right at this. So, so that's how it was. But, like Will mentioned, it's very traumatic going through all of that. Losing my sight was a very traumatic experience. I was a very angry, aggressive child. I was always constantly in fights. And, and certainly when I went into secondary school, I was that kid that was excluded from school and had records for all the wrong reasons, really.
Yeah. What would you say it was that motivated you? I'm talking specifically about your sporting achievements, because it's a rough ride, right? And there's a lot of adversity, a lot of challenges. What, for you specifically, was your main driver?
I think in sport, it's very, it feeds back to you instantaneously, doesn't it? So any one of you who's tried sport, you'll know whether you're finding it hard or not, really quite soon. And so for me, 2 things happened. When I did sport, it made me feel good. Just the process of moving around and, in those moments, when we've just come out of the winter and it's been dark and wet and cold and miserable, and just the process of moving makes you feel better. So firstly, it made me feel good. But secondly, I realised I was good at it. And then it just became this positive feedback loop, didn't it? So the more I did, the better I got, and the better I got, the more I wanted to do. Yeah. And it kind of just went from there.
Amazing. Now, Will, I'm going to read this because I don't want to downplay it at all, but it says, you are the most successful British Paralympic table tennis champion, that's why I'm saying that 3 times, of all time. So how did that journey start for you? And, same as Darren, what fueled your motivation?
It's crazy, but it's so similar to Darren in a way because I was really angry as well.
Really?
Yeah, I was like really angry growing up, and I didn't show it much. Like I wasn't like really bad in school or anything like that. I wasn't expelled, but I was like going to my bedroom and I'd be like really upset growing up sometimes because kids are cruel, aren't they? So you grow up and you have to put up with a lot in school, and I bottled that up. I had that in my heart, and I kind of like. That sets you up for greatness because, like any of you guys, if you've ever overcome difficulties, it actually can fire you up in a way, and it can create a monster. It can create a really strong person actually, and I think all those difficult times that I had when I grew up actually made me sort of crazy in a way, crazy to be successful, crazy to want to prove people wrong. I was always like, I can do this, I will do this. And I was lucky. I had my mum who was very supportive. I remember one day I was in PE and they said I couldn't do PE because I couldn't put the football boots on, so I couldn't go out onto the grass. And I went home and all my friends were like, why can't you do PE? I was like, I just can't put the football boots on and they won't let me on the grass. And then I told my mum. And the next day, my mum came into school with me, and she said, "I'll take full responsibility if Will breaks his legs, but he will be doing sport. You've got to try and make it. You've got to try and put him into the class." And my PE teacher actually kept that letter that was about 15 years ago, and he gave it to me like 2 years ago.
Really?
And he said, "I'll never forget your mum coming in that day, scared all of us in the PE department." But we never let you miss another PE lesson, and I think that sort of upbringing has helped me,
Yeah, that's what mums do, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to break from script slightly and just say on a personal level, because I acquired my disability when I was 24, and I've never really thought about your individual situation, having to grow up as a child and deal with all these challenges as well, because being a child is hard enough, right, as it is. So, I just wanted to say from me to you guys, huge respect for having to deal with all of that and then to get to where you are now. So it's phenomenal. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Now, I haven't ever reached the dizzy heights that you guys have reached at the Paralympics. So I am an adaptive athlete. I have competed at a certain level, and I know the dedication, the commitment, the sacrifice, the consistency, and everything that comes along with it that it takes to reach a certain level of success. But that success doesn't come without challenges. So I want to start with you, Darren, first. Can you tell me about what are some of the biggest and most difficult challenges that you faced in your sporting journey?
So my very first game for England was 1996. I mean, honestly, guys, I don't even look 28, do I? I mean, it's such a long time ago. So my debut was an absolute disaster. I remember the coach telling me I was going to be on in 2 minutes, so I was on the side warming up, getting myself ready. And at that time, I still had light perception. I could still see colours. I could still see large objects. And so when I put my blindfold on, I was completely disorientated. And I remember running onto the pitch, and I was bumping into my teammates, bumping into the opposition players. We play five-a-side football, so we've got boards around the side, and I was bumping into the boards as well. And so the coach took me off after 2 minutes. So that was my England debut. It was an absolute disaster. But I think what I was really good at all through my career was thinking about what do I need to do differently to make sure that never happens again. That was always the question I'd ask myself. And so the thing that I started to do straight away was put my blindfold on 2 hours before the game instead of 2 minutes before the game. And that meant that my brain could switch from kind of visual mode straight into auditory mode. So by the time I got onto the pitch, just in the way it takes your eyes time to acclimatise to the dark, it's the same, that your ears take time to acclimatise to literally focusing on everything you need to hear. Because one of the things we do in blind football is you're trying to build up a sensory map. So I'm using the direction of the wind, I'm using the sun that I can feel on my face, maybe there's a slope on the pitch, maybe there's a road nearby that I can hear, and I'm using all of that information to sort of triangulate it to build up this sensory map so that I know exactly where I am on the pitch at any one moment. And thankfully, because I was able to use those adaptive skills throughout my career, I went on to become England's most caps player ever.
Get up there, my boy.
And Will, what about you? What are the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome? I guess from the beginning, from childhood to your sporting success.
I think I've had a few little challenges. I mean, I think obviously, like growing up, 7 years old, having non-Hodgkin's was like a difficult challenge. Like I still think about it now like it was traumatic, but without being too depressive. But it is quite hard. It was quite traumatic, and seeing people around me suffering probably was more so than actually the treatment that I got, the chemo and stuff like that. But I never saw my mum cry, and I saw her cry when I was like 7, and that was like the worst thing. I found that really hard. I found that really hard, seeing my mum suffer, seeing my stepdad suffer. And I think to be honest, like nothing has really been that hard for me since then, in a strange way. Do you know what I mean? Because I put it into perspective, like I was telling you about the Paralympics coming up. It's a game of table tennis at the end of the day,
right.
And I'm not fighting for my life. But what I am doing is I'm playing for the people that did keep me alive. Without being cheesy, I'm playing for them, and I've got a reason to be here, and like I want to prove, I want to make the most of what I've got. But if that makes sense, so I am still. That's in my heart. That's in my gut. That 7-year-old boy is still in my heart and in my gut, and that's why I want to bring it out when I'm playing table tennis. I want to bring that boy out who's so lucky to be alive. You know, I want to go now. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean?
Someone get me a table tennis.
I want to get that gold medal for that boy.
Yeah.
Not for me, but for the boy who survived that time, and that's priceless, isn't it? You know, like all of us that have been through trauma or like difficulties in your life. Doesn't matter whether it's a mental difficulty or a physical difficulty. That fire's in your belly. It can't not be. Because we all get that, don't we? You must get that. You must have that fire.
Yeah.
You've got that fire, Darren. Do you know what I mean? We've all got that fire. Everyone probably sitting in the seats here has got the fire in the belly. No one understands that fire. Very few people actually have been through those times, but they've got that. But if you have been through it, you get what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying.
I understand 100% what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you said earlier, you said it was cheesy. I don't think it's cheesy at all. What you were saying about wanting to succeed for the people that kept you alive, because that's exactly what I think too. Yeah. When you learn more and more through your journey, well, I did anyway, about the more and more people that were involved, and I kind of developed this mindset of, well, how can I live below my potential when all these people put all this work into making sure that I was alive? So you owe it. You feel like you owe it to those people to live to your max, right?
100%, yes.
Now, you mentioned in your video that your highlight was winning a gold medal in Rio. Now, there's not many people that are going to get to experience what that feels like. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, to be honest with you, it's like it felt good for a few seconds, and that's about it.
Oh my God.
I know. That's just the truth. I mean, it is what it is. It's a gold medal, but
is it more about the journey?
Yeah, it doesn't mean that much. It is what it is. You know, now I'm 36 years old, I've realised that it's not really about the gold medal, is it? I mean, there's loads of gold medals flinging about, and it is what it is. You know, it felt good for literally 2 seconds. I remember when I achieved the gold medal, I had this fire in my body, like everywhere. Like I feel like I could do anything. I was like, I've achieved my ultimate dream of winning this gold medal. And then I got down from the table, and then the next day, you're thinking like there's going to be sunshine every day. You know, you're thinking the world's going to change. You're going to be a multi-millionaire. You know what I mean? The reality is, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My daughters don't even care. You know, my daughters want me to lose sometimes. It is what it is. It's a game of table tennis. So it is what it is. But yeah, it's like you say, it's the journey. It's about it's about the training. It's about the journey. It's about trying to be the best you can be every day. Trying to do it. And then hopefully the gold medal come. I really want to win a gold medal in Paris though. I still want to win it. I'm not saying that I don't want to win it, but I get the reality of it. And that actually takes the pressure off, you know? Because you realise it's not just about the gold medal, but it would be nice to win another one. It would be nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I chip in there?
Go on.
I've met this, I was doing some work with Dane Kelly Holmes just back in 2010, and I'd met this lady who'd won gold at Beijing a couple of years earlier. And she was sat there all hunched up, looking really miserable. And that's coming from a blind person, right? I could just tell she was miserable. And I was like, what's wrong with you? So you've just won gold and you're like miserable. And she goes, you spend your whole life getting to the top of Everest, only to discover that the only way is down. I thought, God, she's
You could look at it like that. But it's like if you win the lottery, right? You win the lottery, you think you're going to have a great life. And then a lot of people become more depressed than they were before they won the lottery. And then eventually it kind of like equals out. And you are slightly happier than you were before. My psychologist told me that. It was like eventually you'll find a way of like being quite content with that gold medal and happy with it. And you won't look for external sources of like people making you happy and like people like saying you're amazing, you'll just be you'll be more satisfied. And that has happened after a couple of years. I'm not this miserable guy like, oh, a medal means nothing, you know, it's rubbish.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I get what you're saying. Now, Darren, you used to play football, and then you made quite an extreme switch to judo, which confuses me. They're completely separate sports. So tell us a little bit about why you made that switch.
I always say that, you know, in football you're kicking the ball, and in judo you feel like you are the ball. So the switch was purely by accident, really. So what had happened is we'd qualified for the Paralympics in 2004, and but Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland wouldn't sanction us to play as Great Britain. So we had, before Brexit, we had still had all that politics back then about you know, all the home nations, and so you know, I was denied the opportunity from going to the games, and obviously I was devastated about it, and I kind of thought, what is my best chance of getting to the games? Because I really wanted to be a Paralympian. And I thought, do I stick with football and carry on for another 4 years and hope that we can spend the next 4 years lobbying them and trying to get them to change their minds? Or do I do something really radical? And I chose something really radical, I guess. I was already a black belt in judo, so I guess going back to the earlier stuff about me being a fighter, I was always at school fighting. So I think I had that fighting gene in me anyway. And so judo was kind of a natural fit for me and my personality. But, you know, just because you're a black belt isn't quite enough to get you to the games. You still have to, like, you know, train super hard. So at the time, I used to work full time, and I quit my job and decided I was going to train full time, you know, twice a day, 6 days a week, and give myself the very best chance of qualifying for Beijing. I was never a big drinker, but I quit alcohol completely. I stopped eating sugar. I had an allotment. I used to grow my own vegetables. I went extreme, and I just wanted to give myself the very best chance of making it to those games. And yeah, I got to Beijing.
So I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's similar to judo in a way, and I train with a lot of para-athletes, and it's all unique, I think, when you compete. For example, in Jiu-Jitsu, you can start standing. But because I don't have any legs, I start sitting. And then I get the option with my opponent. Do I want them to stand, to sit? You know, it's up to us to decide between us. Is it similar in judo? Because I imagine you start by already being held on to your opponent, correct?
Yeah, so in judo, in the VI competitions, vision impaired competitions, you start with a grip. So you start standing with a grip. It's really funny, actually, because there's not lots of vision impaired competitions in the UK to do. So I used to fight sighted competitions as well, and I could always tell how good my opponent was by whether they were happy to start with a grip. So I remember going to Venray in Holland, and I did a competition there, and the referee said to my opponent, are you happy to start gripped up? And he goes, yes, no problem. And he grabs hold of me, and then he just launched me within like 10 seconds. I go, okay. But I remember fighting this competition in Wales once, and this kid, he didn't want to grip up. And when the referee said hajime, which means start, he was trying to circle me and run round behind me, and it was just, the crowd were booing him and everything. But I know I took that as a kind of compliment. I knew that meant he was worried, and he thought, I don't want to lose the blind guy. So eventually I got hold of him and smashed him as well.
Yeah. Get up there.
Now, when I first started training and competing in para sports, I had a bit of a bad attitude towards it. I thought it was all about sympathy and pity, and I very quickly realized that it wasn't. Now, when we were backstage just now, you showed us a photo on your phone of your lip about an injury you just got when you were training for judo, right? They don't go easy on you just because you're blind, do they?
No.
It's still a full contact sport.
They want to win. But what always surprises me is how people who can see sort of, they see someone with a disability and they kind of think that you're sweet and innocent and all of that kind of stuff. So I'll tell you a story about the European Championships in 2011. So we went to, we played in this round robin tournament in Madrid, and we used to film all the matches. And we'd caught one of the Argentinian boys cheating, basically. So he'd had his blindfold above his head. But basically, there'd been a bit of a scramble on the edge of the box. The ball had gone loose. And this Argentinian lad had jumped up and just whacked it in the goal first time without kind of controlling it first. So we kind of thought he was cheating. So when we looked through the video footage, we realised that he was cheating. So we sent the footage off to IPSA, which is like our national governing body, and they changed the patching rule. So what we used to do was put a round piece of tape over your eye, then we'd put gauze over the top of the tape, then we tape it down, and then you put the blindfold over the top of that. So you basically had 3 layers to make sure that people weren't cheating. So we went to these European Championships, and we said, right, we better practice under the new patching rule. So as we started playing the game, our coach went, he's gone, he's gone. And one of our own players basically had been cheating. And that's how we discovered that one of our own players had been cheating. So, you know, yeah, we were a man down for that tournament, really. But absolutely, people, disabled or not, they still want to win. They're going to give it everything they can. And sometimes they will cheat to get an advantage as well. Terrible, eh?
Now, Will, the Paralympics are just around the corner.
Yeah.
I know you're in it again for this year in Paris. Have you started training yet? And if so, how has the training been?
Yeah, I'm to be honest, like, I might not look it, but I'm always training. I'm always playing table tennis, and I play every day about 3 to 4 hours a day, and also do other things to try and keep my body in sort of shape to compete. But I've got 14 weeks now on Monday to the Paralympic Games, and yeah, I'm not the most talented player in the world. I'm not.
You've got a gold medal, though.
Some might say I'm not the best player in the world as well. Quite a lot of people. The Chinese definitely would say I'm not the best player in the world. But one thing that I will be is probably the best prepared player in the world, and I'll be ready in 14 weeks. And you'll look at me and you'll think I'm a different person. I'll be ready for the Paralympics. So please watch me and please support me, because I do need all the support. Yeah. It's going to be the toughest challenge of my career to win this one. I'm 36. But I've still got a point to prove. I've got 2 little girls, 3 and 6, who are coming to watch me in Paris. And I'm so determined to win for them. And it's not about, as you say, it's not about the gold medal, but it's about, well, it is about the gold medal, yeah. I want to win. I want to win. I want to put it around my girls' necks, and I want to show them that again, without being cheesy, that if you dedicate your life to something, if you have a dream, you can achieve anything. And I want them to put that gold medal on. That's what wakes me up in the morning. That's what wakes me up, you know.
So Darren, I want to talk a little bit about mindset now and resilience in elite sport, particularly in parasport and disabled sport. How important do you think that is?
Mindset is critical, isn't it? I was lucky enough, funny enough, when I qualified for Beijing, it's amazing that you get access to all these support services. So you kind of qualify for the games on your own, doing it all yourself, and then you qualify, and they give you the very best. And one of the guys I got to work with was a guy called Pete Lindsay, who was...
yeah, I know Pete.
You know him, yeah.
Yeah, he's good, very good.
So he was at Man City as their performance psychologist, but he was also at the English Institute of Sport when I came across him. And I walked into the rooms and I said to him, because I've got a maths degree, I'm quite skeptical about psychology because they kind of try and mess with your head and stuff like that. And so I walked into the room saying, well, can you guarantee me a gold medal? And he goes, no. I said, well, is there any point in me working with you then? So, and he we sat down and we had a proper conversation, and he said, obviously with my background, I require a higher burden of proof before I'm convinced about something. But I went away from that meeting just wanting to know more about the psychology of it. I went and studied psychology. And for me, it's like the core to everything. Ultimately, your confidence, your motivation, your resilience. You know, I believe everybody out there can do whatever it is they want to do. But they've got to have that motivation to do it, haven't they? They've got to. And I find now with a lot of the kind of younger guys that are coming through, that some of them don't have that kind of get up and go. They haven't been challenged enough when they're younger to put themselves in those uncomfortable situations. And so, you know, the trauma that Will's been through, that I've been through, have really conditioned us, you know, where you can say, you know, the worst thing that's happened to him was when he was 7. So every challenge you put yourself into now just feels so much easier, because I've been through worse than this. This is no problem. And so building on that mindset, you know, day by day, just trying to be better today than you were yesterday, better tomorrow than you are today. It's a gradual process. But the only way that you develop resilience is by putting yourself in difficult situations.
Absolutely, totally agree with you. Now, I want to ask you both this question, and I'm going to start with you, Darren. What advice would you give to anybody who is considering starting a sport, and how would they get started?
Well, it really depends on the sport, because there's obviously national governing bodies for different sports, and they've all got different pathways to get to that elite level. But first and foremost, you've got to enjoy doing what you're doing. Like, if you don't, I meet loads of kids who tell me they want to be professional footballers, for example, and I say to them, "Are you playing for a team?" No. I go, well, how's that going to happen then? It's not just going to, no one's going to spot you. It doesn't happen by magic. So first, you've got to enjoy it. You've got to be out there doing it every day. Will's playing table tennis 3 hours, 4 hours a day. I was the same with football, playing hours and hours and hours of football, just kicking the ball against the wall with my mates. I never thought of it as training in those days. When I was a kid, I didn't think I was training. I was just having fun. It was like, we called it jumpers for goalposts, don't we? Someone would knock on your door, you go down the field, you get jumpers, put them down, find a ball. I remember the teachers would confiscate the ball off us sometimes in school, and we'd get some paper, we'd roll it up and sellotape it. We'd start kicking that around. There was nothing that was going to stop us from playing. And I think you've got to have that love for it in the first place, and that, you've got to get that enjoyment, that buzz from playing. And then hopefully, if you're good at it, someone will spot you and send you to the next level of the pathway. But I think first and foremost, you just got to be out there doing it.
Right. And Will, what about you? Just for getting started.
Yeah, like you say, I think for everyone, like sport is it should, it's important. I think I train at Brighton Table Tennis Club, and like there's a lot of people that go there and they don't even play table tennis. Do you know what I mean? It's part of a community, and I think sport is important at all levels, even if you're just there to enjoy watching the sport or to play because it. From what I've noticed in Brighton Table Tennis Club, there are people from like different parts of the community that wouldn't integrate, that wouldn't get involved in society, different parts of society that were just like totally withdrawn. And that's where I think sport comes into its own, because it does bring people together. You could have like a CEO playing against a homeless person at Brighton Table Tennis Club, and you're all equal. You're just playing a game of table tennis, and I think that's where sport's really powerful, so accessible as well. Especially in the Paralympics, you've got like sports like bocce, you've got sports like table tennis. To be fair, does cater for a lot of different disabilities. So sport is definitely something that I'd encourage. Yeah,
absolutely. Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit. I think you might know what's coming. Some of you may recognise Will from Strictly Come Dancing. I want to hear a little bit about that. Now, how did that come about, and what was your favourite experience?
Yeah, so I got so lucky. Everyone always asks me, how did you get that gig to go on Strictly? And to be honest, so the producer at the time, her son was watching celebrations from Rio 2016, and he was on his iPad apparently having breakfast, and he saw this celebration from me. He goes, "Have you seen this guy, this table tennis player, this celebration that he did after he won?" Showed his mum, who was the producer of Strictly.
Right.
And then she got in contact. She goes, "I loved your celebration on Strictly. Have you ever thought about coming to do dancing?" And I thought, and then I told my brother and my mum, and she was like, even my mum, who's my biggest fan, she went, "You can't do that. You're going to be terrible. You're going to embarrass us all." And I went, "Yeah, all right." And then I went for an audition. I got in, and yeah, the rest is history. It was good. It was an amazing experience. I was with Jeanette Manrara, who's an American professional dancer, and she was tough. It was hard work, man. It was hard work. It was mentally really hard. I remember the training we were doing from 9 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, every day, because I was so bad. You know what I mean? Like if you're good, like Kelvin. I was dancing next to Calvin Fletcher, who won it. So like we were next door to each other because we were both training in Watford at the time, and I was there all day. He was there from like 9 o'clock, and he was finished by like 1 o'clock. And he was like, I was like, how long does it take you to learn the routines, man? And he was like, oh, 4 or 5 hours. It's a long time. It was taking me 5 days.
Really?
I didn't know the routine till Saturday. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And then I was still going wrong on Saturday night. So it is what it is. You know, but yeah, it was a good experience. Good experience.
Awesome. Switching gears again slightly. I mean, we're here at the big event run by Motability Operations. It's all about vehicles. You're both scheme ambassadors. Darren, you've recently come onto the scheme, haven't you?
Yeah.
So what's it been like for you? What have you enjoyed about it?
Oh gosh, I don't want to say anything nasty about our public transport system, but it's not been great the last year, to be honest, with all the strikes. You know, being able to just make a call and say, "Can you come and pick me up, please? I'm stranded." It's been really, really helpful. Yeah, it's been really, really difficult. Like, there's been strikes left, right, and centre, and it's always those little journeys that are really difficult. Sometimes it might be, you know, as the crow flies, not too far, but like using public transport, sometimes I've got to go all the way in and all the way out, and some of those journeys can take ages. And so Sundays are really difficult to travel on. There's always less public transport, early mornings, late evenings. So when I'm going to training, you know, I tend to train early or late, and that tends to be when I do it. And so it's been a bit of a godsend having that car.
Yeah. And you've been on the scheme a little bit longer, Will.
Yeah.
What's your favourite thing about the scheme? What does it give to you?
Well, it gives me a lot of freedom. I think the car and obviously is amazing. I mean, and I think for me personally, I've grown up with disabled people in my life, and I've seen what a difference it's made to a lot of people with a lot of different disabilities. And yeah, I mean, it's been amazing for me, for my family. I think, yeah, when you're having a bad day, as we all do with different disabilities, I think that's when it comes into its own, and you feel like I feel like you can be independent, even if it's you know, and that's what it gives you. It gives you that independence, gives you that confidence, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do. I remember lying in a hospital bed maybe 3 weeks after being injured, and it was one of my main things that I kept on thinking about is, you know, I'm 24 years old. Do I have to rely on people for the rest of my life? Am I ever going to have freedom, independence? Will people be pushing me in a chair, driving me places? And so I rave about the scheme to everyone that will listen and say, look, you know, freedom and independence were things that I think I took for granted prior to becoming disabled, and because of what the scheme offers, they've given me that back. And you know, as a father, it's phenomenal. Father of 3 kids, 1 wife, and we get to travel around independently, and I can contribute.
Yeah.
You know.
100%.
Now we're going to go to the audience in a minute, but before we do, last question, Darren, what car do you have?
I've got a Puma.
Ford Puma.
Ford Puma, yeah.
Like it?
Yeah, it's lovely, mate. You know,
You remembered it then?
It's got. I know. I was saying to Will earlier, like, you know, I had to remember, because I guess you guys, you know, you can see what car you're walking up to, can't you? I was like, you know, got to get into what car mine again? So yeah, it's a Puma. It's got a lovely smell as well. You know, when it's new, you get off the forecourt. It's just, sweet.
And what about you, Will?
Peugeot 3008.
You like that one?
Absolutely love it. Yeah, I had a Jeep Renegade before, but Peugeot, wow. yeah, which was nice as well. But yeah, really, really happy with it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, well, we've got a little bit of time left before we've got to wrap up, and I think we're going to go to the audience for some questions. Please don't be shy. These two aren't, and I'm sure they'd love to answer any questions that you have, so please put your paws up in the air if you have any. Not all at once, just one at a time. There we go.
Hi. I'm just curious to know about your support network. So obviously you've got to concentrate on your sports. So how important is the support network that you have around you, and who do you rely on for that?
Will, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'll be honest with you, we don't really have a support network. I mean, yeah, it's just got to get on with it. I've got my mum. She's a good one, you know, so I speak to my mum a lot, and I speak to, obviously, my girlfriend, and we get, you know, but yeah, I've got quite a small group. Obviously, my coaches, but their main focus isn't me as an individual. It's about me as a sportsman, as how I get results. So yeah.
I'm guessing, Darren, it might be a little bit different for you. I'm assuming you don't drive yourself.
No, I mean, I have driven a car, but I probably shouldn't tell you about that now. So, not this one, by the way.
But that support system, I guess, is crucial to get you around, get you to training, back from training, live your life.
Yeah, I think, you know, you look at support in lots of different ways. So, you know, there's always that emotional support. My mum was never very sporty kind of thing. She never really was that into me doing sport, but she's always been there for me when, you know, I've been struggling in life, and I can just sort of ring her up and have a whinge and a moan. And so she's supportive in that way, you know, my partner in a similar way as well. But yeah, your coaches, you know, the other athletes that you train with, that, you know, none of us would ever achieve anything on our own. Yeah. It's just that, I suppose, you know, you need good people to train with. That's the most important thing. To be a top athlete, you need really good people to train with. But yeah, you get support whenever you need it, really. I think it's just being honest when you're struggling, is just asking for help. I think that's the most important part of it.
Absolutely. Any more? I saw a hand coming up. Oh, there we go.
It wasn't a question, really. I play table tennis, and I just wanted to say thank you to Will, because for our family, it was wonderful watching you, and
thank you.
Just wanted to say thank you.
Thanks so much. The best is yet to come. Don't worry about that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, Paris will be a good one.
We'll look forward to Paris.
Yeah, Paris will be a good one.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, I promise. I promise you that.
Good.
I'm going to win it.
Well, actually, I will ask you a question. I do the assessments for people as part of Motability. Do you use any adaptive controls with your car?
Just the steering, just to help me steer. So just the steering ball. Yeah. Okay. So that's all I've got. Yeah.
Okay. And thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, thank you all so much for joining us. We're out of time, unfortunately. Darren, Will, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
Good luck in Paris.
Got mate.
I say, I've tried playing table tennis, mate. I'm awful.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you all. Thank you.